Welcome to Taiwan Talk on ICRT. I'm Ryan Drillsma. In this episode, I speak with journalist and author Joe Henley about his latest book, Migrante. The book details the hardships migrant workers face when they come to Taiwan. I'm here today with Joe Henley, who is the author of Migrante, as well as several other books. Can you talk a little bit about your personal journey and what led you to Asia, plus where you've lived and what you've done there?
What led me to Asia was my roommate in college said that Taiwan was fun. And I said, okay, I like fun. And I came to Taiwan literally 3 weeks after she told me that. I was in journalism school at the time in Halifax, Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada, and wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to head out and try to become a writer somehow. And Taiwan ended up being the destination, and that was 15 years ago. So I started freelancing. That's 8 years ago now, and I've been writing for newspapers, magazines, TV shows. I did a movie a couple of years ago, just kind of doing whatever I need to do to survive as a writer and support my habit of writing novels.
Can you talk a little bit about the premise of your latest book, Migrante?
Yes, Migrante is a book that I spent the last about 5 years writing because back around 2015, the start of 2015, I started reporting on issues related to migrant worker rights in Taiwan. As your listeners might be aware, there are labor laws in Taiwan, obviously, but they are not equal for all people. They are not extended to all people equally. And when it comes to factory workers, fishermen, caregivers from places like the Philippines and Indonesia predominantly, they are not protected the same as Taiwanese people or Western expats such as myself. So I started reporting on that for the Taipei Times, South China Morning Post. So I was doing these reports and they were getting a good response, but I wanted to do something perhaps more impactful, something more long-lasting, more permanent, if possible. So I decided to write a book. It's a work of fiction, but it's based heavily in the reporting that I've done. I've created, like composite characters that take little bits and pieces of all the various horror stories I've heard kind of over the years regarding the exploitation that migrant workers are made to endure because of the lack of protection. And I put that together in a book, and I'm now using that book to raise money for a couple of groups here. One is the Serve the People Association. They run a shelter in Taiwan for migrant workers who have had to leave their jobs due to many reasons, due to abuse, due to having their pay withheld, passports withheld, all things like that. So I'm raising money for them, and I'm also raising money for the Ilan Migrant Fisherman Union, which is based in Nanfangao Harbor.
Okay.
And they are one of the few labor groups that are trying to extend protection to particularly the offshore fishermen who operate in international waters, deep waters, and are not really protected at all.
Without giving away any spoilers, could you give a rough summary of what happens in the story?
Sure. My main character, his name is Rizal. He's a young man in his early 20s. He grows up in one of the cemetery communities in Manila, which I also visited several of those communities for some other reporting that I was doing.
What's a cemetery community?
These are places throughout Manila where people have made their homes actually in the public cemeteries because they have mausoleums mostly, or just tombs. And for some people, this is kind of the only shelter that they can get in a crowded urban area. So they actually make homes within the cemeteries. So he's from one of those. And he gets word that there's a place where there's money to be made. You can even make enough to send back home to your family. It's a place called Taiwan. And all you have to do is get a job on a fishing boat. So he goes to a broker in Manila. He gets hooked up with a job in Taiwan, and he comes here to join the fishing fleet and quickly finds out that it's not all that was promised to him. And he goes through the whole process that many fishermen have to endure here regarding fees for things that for services that are never performed, having their pay docked for things like room and board when they are just made to live on the boat for the entire time. And he goes through all manner of exploitation that I've heard about in the course of my reporting.
Okay. Are any of the characters in the story based on particular people that you encountered?
Most of them are composite characters. Some, yes, are heavily based on real people that I have met. Some of them have already been recognized by readers, because I've been fairly faithful to the real person, just kind of changed the name. But as far as any of the characters who are, say, migrant workers within the book, those are all composite characters. None of them are actually based on just one person.
As a journalist, why did you feel compelled to write this as a work of fiction?
I think, well, for one, because in speaking with migrant workers over the years, there are a number of them who don't wish to have their particular names or details revealed for various reasons. Sometimes it's just perhaps that they are somewhat embarrassed, maybe, that they have been taken advantage of. They feel that they've been tricked, and sometimes they feel that's a source of embarrassment, so you need to protect that confidentiality. I think I wanted to present it accurately, but do so with where I had free range to kind of have a sense of drama about it, to build a narrative through one character. But to incorporate details from many different people through that character's eyes. So I think this was the best way that I could go about that. These people are often treated as something less than human. They are treated as basically like human chattel. They're like a product, almost. They are not treated as individuals who have thoughts, hopes, dreams. And they don't have a lot of recourse if something bad happens, because their employers will hold their passports. They'll hold their ARC. They might not speak the language here, although some of them do.
Okay, and what sort of places can people read your publications?
They can get it mostly off of Amazon. My publisher is Camphor Press for the last two books that I've done. They can buy them from their website, or basically any online outlets. It's available at every possible online outlet that you can imagine.
And do you have any more works in the pipeline at the moment?
After this one, I am taking a little bit of a break from novel writing. I'm working on some other projects. Just none of them are books.
Well, hopefully we can help you spread the word here on ICRT.
Yes, thank you. And I get to be indoors when I do it. This is nice. I'm much more at home in like a small room like this.
Joe Henley, thank you for coming and speaking to us today. Migrante is out now. Please go and buy a copy.
Yes, please go buy it. And thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe.